friends, and welcome back. I was actually cleaning out my closet and something just popped into my mind, and I thought, you know what? I don't want to wait to talk about this. Now, I have a podcast, which I love because on the podcast, I can just record them at any time, and I don't really have to worry about what I'm looking like. So, YouTube is a little bit different for me and it's a little bit new, but I just thought I'm not going to miss these incredible opportunities to kind of talk about some of these subjects because by the time I wait, go to the bathroom, gluing on lashes and penciling in eyebrows, the thrill will be gone. And so, if you're over 40, you're familiar with BB King, the thrill is gone. I don't want to wait that long. So when I get the inspiration, I'm just going to start coming to the camera and letting you guys have it because I'm afraid if I wait, I'll lose the moment. And if you are a spiritualist or if you are kind of new to this particular way of living, you are going to discover, if you stick with it, that sensitivity or the sensitivity that is required to live in this space is it's a big deal. And so when you get those nudges and those inklings, don't put that off. You know, if you can stop what you're doing. Now sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're nursing a baby or things like that. You just can't let it go. Maybe you're driving in your car. But other times you do have the luxury, and I'm going to say that there is an imperative there that you stop what you're doing and that you pay attention to these inklings and these nudges and follow the spirit. And as you follow the spirit, you're going to find out that your choices, that your decisions, that the activities that you're engaging in are going to get better and better and better because you are being led by spirit. So, in previous videos, I've established that we are actually souls in these bodies. We are actually spirits in these bodies. We are not bodies with a soul or spirit. And that subtle difference is major, right? Your soul, your spirit is huge, big, connected to higher consciousness. And part of the totality of you is this flesh bone being. It is a part of who you are. It is not who you are. And so I've done talks on manifesting, in which I go a little bit into the fact that we are spiritual beings. The most recent one I did was why spirituality holds all the answers that you seek. I think that was the name of it. And in that, again, I touch on the fact that we are spirit first. I'm just going to keep nailing it home because it's such an important perspective to have as you're moving through life, as you're engaging with people, as things are happening. If you think that it is only about your finite flesh, you're going to feel that your ability to overcome things or to meet challenges is finite, and it's not. It is actually much bigger, much grander. You have help coming from the beyond. You have wisdom, you have intuition, you have access to a whole host of energies and things that will help you navigate this life well. So here I am with no mascara, with no lipstick. Let's get into it. Okay. Today I want to talk about this concept of sin or error. Now, I am Christian, but I am more of a spiritualist in that I use Christianity to further usher me into my wisdom and knowledge of what the truth is. You're going to find that basically what is true is echoed across all disciplines. I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care if you're Buddhist, I don't care what you are. Truth is truth. And all those texts and all those faiths or religions are going to manifest these truths. And all of them are going to refer to something that they call sin, in the Christian discipline. Other disciplines may call it something different. I'm going to refer to it as error. And it simply means that there is a truth, there is a way of operating in life, a way of showing up in the world, a set of principles that you can follow, that if you do that, life's going to go extremely well for you. And then there is what we call sin, or what we call error. And if you follow down that path and you're making those kinds of choices, life is just not going to feel very good for you. And so the word error is a big word. It is not just smoking or drinking. It is your thoughts. It is your choices. It is your actions. And that kind of leads to karma. And I've talked about that in other talks. So it is a big word. And let me see if I can just boil this down for you when I'm talking about this concept of error or sin. Whenever you're doing something and you have an innate check about it, that is when you know that you are operating against what is true, right? That's when you know that you are operating in error. Say you have an argument with a person and you walk away and there's just that feeling in your gut like, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done that. That is an indication that you have done something that is in error. Or if you're Christian, again, you may call that sinful, that you lost your temper, or that you responded in anger. It's just that feeling or sense of, I can do better in this particular area, and there is something that is true here, and you know that if you were doing that correctly, or if you were operating according to that truth, that you would have a much better outcome. And when you don't follow truth, and when you don't follow the right path, you're going to get into trouble. And so that is the purpose of me coming here today, is to try to get you to think about the actions that you're taking, the things that you're doing every day, in terms of there's a right way, and then there is a way that is in error. And the way that is in error is going to lead me to some level of pain. It's going to cost me something, and we just don't want to do that. So unfortunately, religion has kind of painted a picture of right and wrong, and I'm just really being careful in my words, and I'm trying not to use the terms right and wrong, because it just triggers like a visceral reaction in people, because people kind of, one, don't like to be told what to do, and secondly, there is a natural tendency towards human beings towards the darker side. I don't make the rules. They happen at a level much, much higher than where we are. That is the way the universe is designed. It would be wonderful if we all came here and all we knew was goodness and all we did was goodness. But at some point, even if you watch a toddler, he's going to try to hide a piece of candy behind his back when you're not looking. For some reason, we have a tendency towards the darkness. And some of that is simply because in order for the universe to exist, and this is even a scientific concept here, we live in a world of duality. We live in a world where there are opposites: light, dark, up, down, hot, cold. Things can't exist without their opposite. We would never know what it means to be happy if we had no concept of sadness. We would never know what it feels like to be warm and cozy if we didn't know what it was like to be cold. And so that is just the way the universe is designed. It is dual in nature. And so there is good and there is bad. And human nature is such that we're going to tend towards, I always call it, the darkness. So, having said all that, when you chain yourself to darkness, to the negative side, to whatever you want to call it, to sin, to evil, to wickedness. And sometimes it's not even that deep. If I'm arguing with my husband, I may say something that I know I shouldn't say. That's not really evil or wicked like we tend to know the term as, but it's probably not the best thing to do. And so there is a price to be paid for that in my relationship with him, and then in my own karma bucket that I'm building based on every action, based on every word that I'm speaking. I am actually creating this world for me that eventually I may have to mete out, or I will have to earn out in one way or another. Now, there are some things that you can do along the way to mitigate karma. That's an entirely different conversation. But the bottom line is, the less negative karma that you create, the better off you're going to be. So in that particular situation, I just use an example of arguing with my husband. The right thing to do is to just be mindful. Okay, Tonya, I can feel you getting angry. It's okay. You don't like what is happening right now, but you don't have to lash out or say things that are hurtful or say things that are harmful. You can still get your point across. You can still communicate without the anger, maybe without calling a name, which I don't really do that. But you all get my point. There is just a right way of being. And so what I want for you all, for myself as well, is for us to start moving up the ladder and transcending some of these kinds of just icky little things that are tripping us up, and they're costing us, and they're hindering our relationships, and they're putting things in our karmic bucket that we don't want. And so we don't have to do it. And I think first we have to have the awareness of what's really going on in those moments. And so I hope I've demonstrated to you well enough that there is a right way, a truth. Let's just say that there is a parameter or a way of operating that tends towards goodness and fruitfulness. And then opposite of that, again, in a dual nature environment, the other side of that are choices that we make that tend towards the darkness, and those are going to cost us. You know, it's not just sin and punishment and hell and all that. What we're doing here is beyond all those kind of religious concepts. It's not what we're talking about. We're talking about in the here and now, transcending or being able to make better choices so that we aren't tied to pain, and we aren't damaging relationships, and we aren't costing ourselves things, and we aren't adding to our karmic bucket in the here and now. And so stop. You know, in those moments, think about what you're doing, think about what you're saying, think about the choice that you're going to make, and make the decision that you want to live as an elevated being. Not that you're better than everyone else, but that you are above the muck and the mire of everyday human existence, and that is possible for you. That you can actually transcend those things that cause you pain, and you do that by awareness and by constant vigilance and making better choices. So there's that. There's the concept of sin and error and making right choices. And I guarantee you, if you make right choices, you're going to find that your life just keeps getting better.